Here we are back inside the world's worst movie theater, and you know what? It's the month of December, so let's go ahead and bring in some Christmas movies. Not the good ones, of course. Heaven forbid if we actually show you the good stuff like Christmas Vacation or A Christmas Story or Home Alone. No. You know what? We will show you Home Alone in this theater, but not the good Home Alone, as we talk about my number 17 worst movie of all time, and takes a look at essentially the family film equivalent of The Hangover, taking a very successful comedy and trying to create an unnecessary trilogy out of it. At least back in the day it is. Now it's a... I don't know what the definition of... I don't know what 6 movies in a series is. Like a hexology, if you will. But we're talking about the theatrically released movies here. And number 17 on my list is the Macaulay Culkin-less Home Alone 3. Home Alone 3 is the third installment of the series, and the first one not to feature Macaulay Culkin or the cast from the previous sequels. Neither is Chris Columbus, the director, nor is John Williams. But Roger Gosnell, who served as an editor for both of the original movies, is the director now here, making his directorial debut, who went on to have a spectacular directing career, directing the Scooby-Doo movies and the Smurf films. Not the good Scooby-Doo movie, or... who am I kidding? There's not a good Scooby-Doo theatrical movie, nor a good Smurfs theatrical movie when I'm thinking about it, but... In Home Alone 3, Peter Beaupre is the leader of a group of thieves who have stolen a valuable Air Force computer chip. When a bag mix-up at the O'Hare Airport in Chicago causes Mrs. Hess, a grouchy old lady, to unknowingly take home the chip hidden inside a toy remote-control car, Beaupre and his followers, Alice Ribbons, Earl Unger, and Burton Jernigan, begin searching Mrs. Hess's neighborhood and breaks into houses searching for the chip. 8-year-old Alex Pruitt, played by Alex D. Linz, reports seeing Beaupre and his followers, but Alex's sister Molly, played by a young Scarlett Johansson, his brother Stan, and his parents Jack and Karen, refuse to believe him. Beaupre and his followers figure out that the chip is in the Pruitt home, but Mrs. Hess has given the remote control car to Alex. Alex, however, is left home alone with the chicken pox when Karen goes to work. Jack goes out of town on a business trip, and Molly and Stan go to school. When Beaupre and his followers break into the Pruitt house, Alex is ready with some of the most painful booby traps Beaupre and his gang will ever face. Now, as I've said in the past, I love the first 2 Home Alone movies. The first movie is definitely the best film of the bunch. But I like Home Alone 2. At least try to capture the same spirit of the original film and succeeded for the most part, even though it was a here we go again type of sequel. But it's definitely not as good as Home Alone 1, but it's not terrible. And really, I feel like you could have done so much more with a Home Alone 3. Like, if you got everybody back together, you could have done some interesting things with it, you know? Have the original cast come back in, you know? Have a plot where Marv and Harry get out of prison again, and Kevin realizes that they're out and convince the rest of his family to help him defeat the burglars, you know? Use the same kind of traps Kevin used in the first 2 films. I mean, it could have been something that could have been accomplished, but, nope. No, not this movie. No. We instead have to have what I like to consider Roger Gosnell's awakening point. The point when he realized his purpose as a director in life. Because, like I said before, this was his first movie as a director after many years as an editor. And more than likely, he was brought in to create a simple cash grab with no creativity or edge whatsoever. And Gosnell probably looked at this and realized, wait, I can put nearly zero effort into a movie and it can make money? I'm going to do this for the rest of my career. And yeah, if you look at his directing credits, Big Mama's House, Scooby-Doo 1 and 2, Yours, Mine, and Ours, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, The Smurfs 1 and 2, the dude clearly does not give a fuck about putting any effort into any project he's attached to. And Home Alone 3 is where that lovable trend began. First of all, Alex D. Linz, don't get me wrong, the kid's not a bad actor by any means. He's actually gone on to play voices in various things. You know, he was the voice of Arnold for a little bit in Hey Arnold, and he was young Tarzan in the Disney Tarzan film. And also, he's not bad in this movie. He isn't whiny or trying to be cute like Jake Lloyd was in Jingle All the Way that came out a year prior. The kid was trying, and he didn't do too bad of a job, but he's no Macaulay Culkin. And Macaulay Culkin has that charm to him that makes that character of Kevin McAllister such a likable character and someone you want to root for, especially in the first movie. The bad guys in this movie are the absolute worst. They really went out of their way to find the closest lookalikes to actors they were probably trying to get. Like, I'm pretty sure Bo Pre was supposed to be Oliver Platt because the dude literally looks like Oliver Platt. Jernigan's clearly supposed to be David Schwimmer. Unger's clearly supposed to be Adam Carolla. The only one I probably couldn't figure out was the person that's playing Alice. And I thought maybe a little bit of Laura Flynn Boyle, maybe, but, but besides that, they really feel intimidated by a fucking kid. A kid with chickenpox, no less. And the worst part is, these are 4 professionally trained terrorists, which they say in the movie that they are terrorists, and yet they are getting their asses handed to them by a kid with chickenpox. I mean, you could believe that Kevin could beat up Marvin and Harry because those guys were not smart robbers, although Harry claims to be. And yeah, they got the best of Kevin several times in the first 2 movies. But these 4... they're clearly shown to be much smarter than Marv and Harry are, but they still get their asses beaten by this defenseless kid who's sick with the chicken pox. And on top of that, the traps in this movie get way too elaborate and over the top. And I cannot take it. I can take absurdity in a movie just fine, but I have my breaking point. And when it comes to this movie, this was my breaking point. I mean, there are traps in this movie that are so elaborate and so necessary to be perfectly timed to where these people are going to go throughout this house. You have to wonder to yourself, how the hell does this little kid with chickenpox have the will and the ability to do this? There's no way that this kid, in his condition, would clearly have enough energy in him to pull off the feats that he does in this. I mean, like the kid's got to be doing something behind the scenes that nobody's showing, but because if you've ever had the chickenpox or have been sick, that weighs you down so much that you don't want to do anything. But according to movie logic, it's apparently enough for this kid to go around this house and create these elaborate traps. Like, the fact that it's like the one that I always laugh about is how this kid is able to move a trampoline in the snow over to one side to make it look like it's not covering the swimming pool. Like, and make an area where in the snow where the swimming pool is at. Like, again, just the laws of physics here make no sense whatsoever, which leads me into the biggest problem with the movie, and the reason why I hate it so much, and that is the fact that everybody in this movie is stupid. Not just the bad guys, not just the parents, not just the brother and sister, but the FBI and the police too. Everybody in this movie is a fucking dumbass. Alex is the only one in this movie doing the smart thing by calling the police to report these terrorists breaking into their homes, and yet these terrorists managed to sneak out of these neighbors' houses so quickly, they might as well be the Flash or Sonic the Hedgehog. And after the first day, no cop ever goes, maybe we should bring one of our officers on the street to keep an eye on the neighborhood, just to see if this kid is really, fucking with us. And they're just like, no, they just assume it's a prank, and the kid was by the kid with chickenpox because, he's the runt of the family, he's the youngster of the family, he's the troublemaker, apparently. And then the second time it happens, he calls the cops again, and once again, they're able to the bad guys are able to sneak out of here with nobody seeing them. There's no cameras around. Clearly this is a town that doesn't believe in being safe whatsoever. And you know what happens? The cop doesn't believe him again. And even his asshole siblings start giving him shit for it. It's just like, I'm sorry, but no. You can't do that. Just because this kid is gravely sick, which, by the way, nice parenting by leaving the damn kid with chickenpox home on his own, by the way, it doesn't mean he's full of it when he's clearly seeing a robber going into somebody's house. But no, we have to do this because clearly if we don't have a movie. And really, who wants to see a Home Alone sequel without the original cast, the original comedy, without John Hughes at its finest? This was around the time when John Hughes' career had taken such a nosedive. This was the same year he gave us Flubber, for God's sakes. And without the will to not insult the intelligent audience, oh right, everybody, nobody wants to see this movie. And don't even get me started on the animals they try to bring in as comic relief in this, like the backsassin parrot that only quotes pop culture references and a mouse. Because honestly, that's going to take me hours to tell you how bad that is. And we need to wrap this up because we're already going up on now 9 minutes of me talking about how bad this movie is. Home Alone 3 is an insult to everything that made the first 2 movies special. There's clearly no intention on making a good third film for this series, and it's made for the sole purpose to continue the franchise until that horse is long dead and willing to be beaten. And sad to say, it's basically what we've gotten since then. I'm one of the people that will defend the last one that came out, Home Sweet Home Alone. That's, to me, it's not a great movie, but it's certainly a lot better than anything that came after Home Alone 2. I mean, I'd rather watch that one again than Home Alone 3, the fourth one, or the fifth one, the two that were made for television, any day of the week. Home Alone 3 is everything that is wrong with everything. It's everything that's wrong with kids' movies, and it's just lazy. That's the best way to describe this movie. It's lazy. It's uninventive. It's uninspired. It's a pale imitation of its predecessors. This really is the Hangover Part 3 or Taken 3 of kids' movies, where they just had to make a sequel because the first movie was so successful, and we've got to create a trilogy. We've got to create this trilogy so we could sell it at Walmart for $20, and then later put it in the $5 bin to be lost forever. That's the reason why this movie exists. This is a terrible film. It's absolutely abysmal. It's so awful. It's my number 17 worst movie of all time. Home Alone 3. Just a horrible, horrible movie. Avoid it like the plague. Now, if you want to see me talk about another bad comedy, The Adventures of Pluto Nash, go ahead and check out the video I have here. Check out the playlist below so you can see all the other videos I've done. And I'll see you guys next week. So until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.